Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about this dynamic Aries full moon and the energy surrounding it that takes place on September 29th. Today that I'm recording this video, it is September 24th. The season of autumn is upon us here in the Northern Hemisphere. Happy autumn equinox. It's the season of spring in the Southern Hemisphere, so happy spring to those in the Southern Hemisphere. Either way, this is a significant passage of time, and you can just go back one video. I have a quick little 1 or 2 minute message there about the equinox energies, but they are very powerful. Think about what the sign of Libra represents, and that's the season we are in currently. Libra season began on September 23rd, 2:50 a.m. Eastern Time to be exact, and that's also when we experience the autumn equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere and the spring equinox in the Southern Hemisphere. Equinox is a Latin term for equal parts of day and night. The sign of Libra is represented by the scales of balance, and the sign of Libra is an air sign. It is all about balance and harmony and recalibration. Ruled by the planet Venus, Libra is also very graceful and gracious, sometimes to their own detriment. So anyway, happy birthday to all of our Libras. But also thinking about at a deeper level what the zodiac sign of Libra represents, it represents a time of recalibration, mind, body, and spirit. So think about that as what this time is reminding us of, where we may need to put things back into balance, where we might be out of balance, or where we may have been out of balance. This is a time of recalibration and recognition. It's harvest season. It is a time to take harvest, to take stock, and to take inventory of all that we have accomplished, all that we have acquired, what we could do away with, and what we wish to move toward. All very significant right now. All right, so let's talk about this Aries full moon that we have taking place on September 29th. It's 5:57 a.m. Eastern Time to be exact. Obviously, adjust that for wherever you are in the world. And I'm going to pull up the chart in a moment here and go through all of the aspects because it is quite dynamic. I keep using that word, but it is quite a busy energy. Now, I want to pull focus onto the fact that full moons are a time of culmination and release. As full moon energy swells and begins to rise up, the emotional pull on us is very strong as well. Full moons in and of themselves are always going to bring up heightened emotions, heightened awareness, heightened recognition, and in some cases, sometimes heightened nervous systems. And again, this affects everybody differently dependent on your own unique astrology. So that's why it's good to always know your basic placements, your chart placements. Video linked below on how to quickly do that. So this particular full moon, it's the first full moon beginning a new cycle. So if you've wanted to try and start to work with or connect to the full moon energy, this is a great place to start because it is the first full moon of a brand new 12-month cycle because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So now might be the time where you really start to tune into and pay attention to the rhythms, the natural rhythms of your life, the intuitive, emotional rhythms of your life and of the collective energy as a whole. So if this is your first time here, there's a reason that you're finding this today. So maybe now is your time to start working with full moon energy. Now, this full moon is referred to as the harvest moon. Now, I normally don't put much attention to whatever the names are in the Farmer's Almanac about each full moon, but this one I usually will put focus on because it is the harvest moon around the equinox, season of harvest, powerful portal of energy and time. Like I always say, it's a great time to take spiritual stock and inventory, to do a check-in with your higher self, with your soul. Now, Aries is a fire sign. It is a cardinal fire sign, meaning Aries acts, Aries initiates. Aries blazes its own trail, its own path. Aries waits for no one. Strong warrior energy with Aries. Now remember, we all have Aries somewhere in our chart, even if we don't have planets there. So wherever Aries falls in your chart, that is the area of your life where you are a warrior spirit, or at least that's the intention for you to be a warrior in that area of life. Now, this energy is fast, it's focused, it's determined. It's a lot. It's very energetic. Now, the shadow side to that is that it could be very petty. It could be rambunctious. It could be too much. It could be angry. There could be animosity that comes up for you under this energy. And while everybody will feel this full moon and experience the energies of this full moon, those that are going to be impacted the strongest are going to be anybody with strong cardinal energy, which means Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer, and especially if any of your points or placements fall between 3 and 8 degrees of those signs. And especially if it's your sun, your moon, your rising sign, and I'm going to throw in Mars here and also the north or south nodes. If you don't know what that means, don't worry about it. Just take the messages that resonate with you. So our cardinal folks are definitely going to feel this energy the strongest. This could be very positive for busting through goals, setting intentions, moving on, moving through, moving forward in a different capacity, in a way in which, maybe in a stronger way, in which we didn't think we could do like a year ago or so. There's something about this energy that is very much geared towards the self, me. Aries is the sign of autonomy. It's the sign of being your own boss, being your own agent. And again, if you have strong Aries, you're definitely going to be feeling ramped up under these energies for better or worse. You're either going to be highly agitated, aggravated, frustrated, or highly motivated. And it could be a combination of all of the above and then some. This is also the fourth supermoon of a series of 4. Okay, so we had a full moon back in July, full moon in Capricorn, which was a supermoon. And then we had 2 full moons in August. We had one on August 1st, another one on August 30th. And you can always go back and listen to the readings for those full moons. And I highly suggest that you do that if you have the time and the bandwidth, because it might help you to connect some dots, to connect the energy, to recognize and honor the patterns for you personally. And now this is the 4th and final supermoon of this series. And it's not an eclipse, okay? But it does carry with it an eclipse-like vibration because it's very, very active. And it's very indicative of fresh beginnings, new starts, but not without some potential conflict to get you there, or some resistance, or something that feels challenging and or difficult to do in order to get to that fresh start and new beginning. But it will be worth it because you're a warrior, right? Wherever Aries is for you, you are a warrior in that area of your life. So I encourage you to think back to July and what has gone on for you over the past couple of months, specifically on the emotional front, and tie it into where you are right now. And where are you not being your own agent? Where are you not standing up or shining for yourself? Because remember, you and only you are the creator of your own magic. You know what you hold inside of you. And so if you don't feel like you're living out to your true potential, you need to go inward and reflect upon that. What is blocking you? What is stopping you? What is holding you back? We currently have powerful Pluto in an ongoing square to the north and south nodes of the moon, which are Aries and Libra. The north node is in Aries and the south node is in Libra. And this is where we're going to start having these eclipses come October. Winds of change are upon us. And that is why I say this is eclipse-like energy, even though it's not an eclipse, because it's an Aries full moon and the north node is currently in Aries, which is the future for the soul growth, the new, what we're moving toward, what might feel challenging, but yet also quite rewarding. When we strip away the power dynamics, that's Pluto. Now, Pluto's been in this ongoing tense aspect to the nodes of the moon, making everything feel that much more heated, that much more critical, that much more powerful. And the reminder here is that you are not powerless. You are more powerful than you know and than you think. And that is what this full moon energy is reminding us all of, where we hold our own personal power. So this is a very strong energy of moving into the future with as little baggage emotionally as we can. And the first step to that is just to acknowledge it, to be aware, to acknowledge what comes up for you, especially when it's consistent, especially when it's a pattern, because it is karmic. It's meant for you to sit up and pay attention to it. Also with this full moon, it's important that you track back to March, okay? March 20th, 21st, when we had the spring equinox here in the Northern Hemisphere. And we also had a very powerful new moon in Aries, which was great for setting goals, setting intentions, looking toward the future. This is all going to tie together as we move throughout the month of October, because we are going to have a new moon eclipse in Libra, not too far off. And we'll talk about that as we move along. So it's important because this is also the last full moon in Aries that we're going to have that is not an eclipse until 2025. And because we're dealing with the Aries and Libra axis, this is all about the self, Aries, which is I, me, and then Libra, the opposite sign, which is the relationship house, the relationship area of life. Libra is all about partnership. So that's about we. That's about our relationships. So these two areas are going to be under scrutiny for everybody. So all of that to say, change is afoot. And with this full moon, there's an energy of taking chances. In some cases, throwing caution to the wind to do something totally different that ends up being the best thing of your life. Or maybe it isn't, but again, that's consequence and that's karmic. So there's definitely this heat of like, I want to move forward. I want to press forward. I want to push ahead. Honor that, but make sure that you're honoring the others around you in the process. That's Aries, that's Libra. It's important to be selfish where you need to and where necessary, right? That's Aries. But it's equally as important to be selfless where and when you can and need to be with others. Knowing when to bend, knowing when to fold, knowing when to give in, okay? It's all very connected. Okay, let's get to the chart. We've got our Aries full moon September 29th at 5:57 a.m. Eastern time. Again, you can just change that or adjust for your time zone, adjust for where you are in the world. We see the sun here at 6 degrees of Libra, directly opposite the moon at 6 degrees of Aries. And that is how we have our full moon. Now, first I want to talk about the more challenging aspects or the more stressed out aspects. I want to give those to you first because you're likely already feeling it. So the sign of Aries is ruled by the planet Mars, our red hot, fiery planet Mars. Mars is about action. It's about energy. It's about force. It's about willpower. It's also aggression, anger, sex. That's Mars. Again, Mars is the warrior planet. And this is where we take charge. So that makes Mars the ruler of this full moon because Mars rules over Aries. Now, this can bring in this tension, and it can also bring in a temperamental energy. It's also very motivated and very determined. So whichever way that goes, the tempo is increased here, the momentum is up. And everybody is feeling like they want to assert themselves in some capacity. And that could lead to the shadow energy of Aries and Mars, which is the conflict part, right? Now, we also have the North Node right over here at 24 degrees of Aries in an exact conjunction alignment with Eris. Now, this is significant because, and we've been talking about this, because Eris is a dwarf planet with a very long orbit, but Eris is lined up with the North Node here, which is the future, right? The collective destiny. And then this also will apply to you personally in an area of your life or in a couple of different areas of your life. And Eris is the sister to Mars, okay? So again, very strong Martian energy, very strong energy of initiation, action, will, fighting for what's yours, fighting for your rights. Eris is all about justice. The sun is currently in Libra, which is the sign of justice and balance. So you see how this all connects here? Everybody wants to assert themselves. Everybody wants their voice to be heard. That's what Eris conjunct the North Node is all about. That's the future. Everybody deserves to be heard. Everybody has a right to voice their opinion. And Eris was a street fighter. She took to the streets. She did not go for any kind of injustice, and she was willing to cause fights, start wars in order to assert herself and maintain her position, to make sure that everybody else was able to uphold their position. And connected to Mars here, do you see where I'm going with this? Strong fighting energy here that's present. This is very feisty energy, and this is very pronounced right now, but it's only going to heighten and increase as we move into October and the eclipses. So again, just pay attention to what's triggering you, what's angering you, what's boiling up inside of you. Give it its proper airtime so that you don't end up with some sort of an explosion, okay, of the emotional kind. Now, what could be a saving grace here and could actually like dampen down some of this the more aggressive side of Mars and of Aries is the fact that Mars is over here at 21 degrees of Libra. So think about this. Mars is the ruler of Aries, okay, which means that Mars is in its domicile in Aries. That's where Mars loves to be, and Mars functions very well at the height of its power in the sign of Aries. Libra is the opposite sign to Aries, so it would only make sense that Mars would be considered to be in his fall when he's in Libra, meaning it's not his most favorite place to be. He struggles a little bit in Libra, okay? But this could actually benefit us because Libra likes to weigh all sides, okay? Of a conflict, of a situation, whatever it is, Libra likes to weigh all sides. And so Mars, who's normally about to fly off and take action, and with all this other strong energy, the North Node conjunct Eris and Aries, we've got, the ruler of this full moon being Mars, because it's an Aries full moon, so it's supercharged. But having Mars in Libra actually kind of helps us out. It might soften that act first, think later energy, which in some cases is necessary. But this really affords us the time to really stop and lament on everything that we're doing. And the recognition, like I always say, that all of our actions have consequences, as do our inactions. And that is how we accrue karma. It's consequence. So Mars in Libra may just help us out a little bit and maybe calm down the more intense agitated energy of Mars. It might, and it may not. But I'm hoping. I'm looking at the bright side, right? Again, it just helps us to slow down a little bit and just weigh out all sides and think of others as well. However, Mars over here at 21 degrees of Libra is in a square to powerful Pluto over here at 27 of Capricorn. And actually, Pluto has been in an ongoing square with Eris, right? So that actually pulls in a T-square, which is definitely a tense configuration of these planets. Okay, we've got Pluto over here in a square to Mars, and then Mars is opposite this North Node Eris conjunction, which then squares back to Pluto. So This is about power. This is about control. This is about what's good for me. I want to do what's right for me. What's good for others? Can I find this balance? This is extremely frustrating. This has the potential, this energy has the potential to be explosive on all fronts. So we got to watch out for that. And that's why, sidebar, it's important, collectively speaking, that if you're traveling, you know where you're going and you know what the rules and regulations are where you're going so that you can avoid tension, because this is hot button energy. Mars and Pluto are no joke when they contact. Mars and Pluto are basically a very similar vibrational energy, okay? Because Pluto is actually a higher octave of Mars. And both Mars and Pluto, by the way, rule over the sign of Scorpio as well. So Mars rules over Aries, and traditionally it ruled over Scorpio. Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So Mars and Pluto are pure force and pure power. And together, when they connect, and especially when it's in a harsh aspect, such as a square, there's going to be a vie for control and there's going to be power dynamics at play where one party feels powerful and another might feel powerless. We want to get to the middle ground here. Now also think about that on the collective level, okay? Lots of vying for power and control all over. Lots of fighting for belief systems. Everybody wants their opinion to be heard. That's this energy. Now we also have Uranus over here at 22 degrees of Taurus in an exact square to Venus at 22 Leo. Now we've had this Venus-Uranus square. This will now be the third pass of this energy because Venus was retrograde through Leo from July to September. So it had its moments with Uranus, and now because Venus is moving direct, it's now in an exact square to Uranus again. Now this can definitely pull the focus onto the relationship dynamics, which there already is a huge focus on because we are dealing with the sign of Libra, which is all about partnership and equality, and we're dealing about Aries, which is all about autonomy and the self. And this Venus-Uranus square can absolutely bring up some issues from the past. Something that you've dealt with before is likely coming up again and again and again. And it can feel very fevered around this full moon. Relationships are going to be tested. Old issues are going to be resurfacing. But this is all about pushing us into a higher awareness so that we can deliver, so that we can move forward, so that we can uncover the next steps for our soul's evolution, for our soul's growth. Now, speaking of Uranus, there's also a strong energy of connection here with Uranus. And, you know, Uranus is a planet of change and disruption and often shocking change, unexpected change. But at the other side of that, Uranus is about truth and freedom and liberation. It's about setting us free from something. And in that process, there could be a complete turnaround. But the objective of that is a radical new you, a new earth. That's what Uranus does. So Uranus is squaring Venus, but Uranus is also in an aspect to Mars called an inconjunct or a quincunx. And that aspect is a little tense here because, again, this is about trying to integrate energies that just don't want to integrate at this time. And that's Uranus and Mars. And again, those two together can be, you know, they can implode, they can bring in an implosive energy, but that could also thwart the will to take action. So it's just a little funky. And Uranus is also in an inconjunct to the South Node because the South Node is conjunct Mars, which I can't believe I didn't even mention that. Mars is conjunct the South Node, right? So the South Node is where we're about to have these eclipses, South Nodes in Libra. Mars so close to the South Node is definitely going to be showing us old habits die hard. And things are going to be coming up that seem very repetitive and maybe even a little shocking to you, to the system. Like, why is this coming up again after X amount of years? It's because you haven't cleared something there or you haven't gone into that deeply enough to transcend some karma. That's what that's about. We're dealing with the nodes of the moon here. So Mars is encouraging you to take action. This is a full moon, and full moons are always about release. Mars to the South Node is asking you, what can I release that needs to come into balance? What do I need to release? What habits, what behaviors, what situations, what do I need to release so that I can come into balance for myself so that I function better as a whole and as a unit within any relationship? And wherever you are not, that's going to come up for you in the way of your relationships. You will be reminded. We've also got Chiron over here at 18 degrees of Aries opposite Mars. So this is a very driven energy. This is about wanting to take charge, wanting to take action, wanting to change something, but maybe feeling like you're struggling a little bit. Maybe you have imposter syndrome. Maybe you're thinking, how could I do that? Why me? That doesn't make sense. And those old emotions could be coming up. which are actually at odds to the growth that you want to move toward. And that might stop you from, moving ahead fearlessly. So just pay attention to whatever old triggers are coming up for you, especially in the way of your relationships, especially in the way of how those relationships relate to your identity. We've also got Black Moon Lilith over here at 13 degrees of Virgo, in a trine to Jupiter over here at 14 Taurus. It's very minor, but I will pull this in. Black Moon Lilith is about the side of ourselves that we might repress because we just don't feel, we may deem it as unworthy or dirty or just not something that we can show people. But in a trine to Jupiter, it reminds us that the truth shall set you free. There is a very strong energy of truth that surrounds this full moon. Now, this could be on the internal level, right? Just your own truth, like you acknowledging and recognizing your own truth to help you to move forward fearlessly. But Black Moon Lilith trine Jupiter says, take me as I am. This is me. I'm not going to hold it back. I'm not going to hold it in. These are all sides of me. We've also got Mercury in a trine to Uranus around this full moon. It activates the higher mind. It's a very strong energy of intuition. So yeah, intuition is fire around this full moon. All full moons always feel more intuitive. They bring up a lot. But around this one in particular, it's going to be highlighted. So pay attention to those crazy concepts and ideas that come to you. Mercury trine Uranus, and Mercury's in Virgo, Uranus is in Taurus. These are earth signs. So the way the information is going to come in, it could be very easy for you to pull that into tangible awareness, to bring that down into practical reality. It's earth energy. But I also have to bring up that Mercury over here at 20 degrees of Virgo is opposite Neptune here at 25 of Pisces. And so again, Mercury opposite Neptune can be a very intuitive energy, but can also be very confusing, very foggy. So just sit with whatever information comes through to you at this time, just to make sure that you're hearing it correctly or feeling it correctly. Give yourself a minute, because it is like we're still landing the airplane in the fog. That's my whole Neptune analogy. Okay, so all in all, the overall energy of this full moon is it's a very driven, action-orientated full moon. We are all going to be feeling turbocharged in one way or another. But the trick is to maintain balance, harmony, and equilibrium, mind, body, spirit, caring for the physical body. There's a lot going on right now. We can literally feel like we're going through the ringer. So caring for the physical body is very important. Caring for the emotional body, caring for the spiritual body, very important. Think before you fly off the handle, because again, there's going to be a very ramped up energy present and everybody is feeling it. Everybody wants to have control over their own self, right? Nobody wants to feel like somebody else is pulling the strings for them. So as long as you can keep it in your mind, what's good for me, also what's good for others, keep others in your mind as well. Because the shadow side to Aries is that they will stomp on whomever and whatever they need to get to where they want to go. We gotta love their determined and dedicated efforts and energies. However, right now, the polarity is such where we need to really focus on not only ourselves, but the greater good for others. And knowing that oftentimes we have to do things that others don't necessarily agree with, but it's all about in the way we go about things. Big crossroads energy right now for everybody. Big moves being made for people. A lot of people are moving, like physically moving. A lot of people are ending relationships. A lot of people are beginning relationships. New businesses are being birthed. A lot is going on right now. Lots of change. The only constant is change. Now, remember, I might have said this before. I apologize if I'm repeating it, but this is a supermoon, which means that the moon is at its closest orbit to the Earth, technically speaking. But spiritually speaking, that's very symbolic because the moon is going to be the largest and the brightest that it is. And if you think about the effect of the moon and the Earth actually exert a gravitational pull on each other. The moon's gravitational pull actually causes the tides of the ocean, the high tides of the ocean. It's actually much more technical than that with both sides of the moon and how we have high tide and low tide. But all of that to say, the moon is responsible for that. So if you think about the pull that the moon has, right? How could it not affect us here on the human level? The moon is all about our inner landscape, our inner world. It's our soul. So how could it be that the moon would not be exerting such a strong pull on our own soul, on our own emotions, on our own psyche? Think about that at a deeper level. It's proven that emergency rooms are overrun under full moon energy. We know people get more activated under full moons. Think about the very term lunar, okay? Lunacy, lunatic. It all connects. Full moon energy is wild, but that could be wild in the best way possible, right? Again, you're the creator of your own magic here. So yes, this is a supermoon, super powerful. First full moon of a cycle, Aries, super powerful. The north and south nodes of the moon are very active right now, Aries and Libra. This full moon occurs on the Aries and Libra axis. We're going to start eclipses come October. So all of that to say, powerful portal of time we are in right now, powerful energies. They're going to continue to be very charged as we move throughout the end of the year, strong energies of change. And this could be very, very positive, but it can also feel like a lot. So just take really good care of yourself. Make sure that you are trying to get as much sleep as you can, that you're drinking enough water, that you're getting out and getting fresh air every day, that you're connecting to people whom make you feel alive, who light you up, not always bring you down. Those are the ones we want to kind of stay away from. Release those relationships, Libra, that just aren't serving our soul and that are actually even on a deeper level that might be affecting our equilibrium. We all know, right? When you spend time with certain individuals or groups, whatever it is, and you feel like your energy gets siphoned, that's a sign for you that your equilibrium is off here. And that doesn't mean anything negative about that person or about that group. It just means that something about it energetically just is not working for you any longer. It just doesn't align with you right now. Honor that. As long as you're honoring that, you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your soul, things come in a more authentic manner. And that is what this Aries full moon is all about. It's about autonomy. It's about authenticity. It's about advocating for yourself. It's about standing in your truth and being a warrior, all while being mindful of others around you. Okay, so that was a lot. And I always say I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible. And then when I start going, I just can't be quick with it. So I hope that this was helpful for you. Oh, and let me tell you where this full moon will occur for you by your rising sign. If you're an Aries rising, this full moon will take place in your first house. If you're a Taurus rising, it's going to be your 12th house. Gemini rising, the 11th. Cancer rising, the 10th. Leo rising, the 9th. Virgo rising, the 8th. Libra rising, the 7th. Scorpio rising, the 6th. Sagittarius rising, the 5th. Capricorn rising, the 4th. Aquarius rising, the 3rd. And Pisces rising, the 2nd. That will be where the full moon is occurring for you by your rising sign. Be sure to sign up for my newsletter, lisasalvatore.com. You're going to be able to pull your chart up soon from my website. So be sure to sign up for my newsletter. And I've got some other cool things that are coming up. Also, you can find me on the Evolve Plus app. I'm a contributor on there. I actually co-host a weekly podcast there called The Rising Gems, in which we go into a detailed daily breakdown for the week ahead. But aside from that, it is just a great community, a great online community. Lots there within the world of metaphysics. It's astrology, it's tarot, it's numerology, basic energy exercises. I'm sure you're familiar with psychic medium John Edward. This is his app that he created, and it's just a really awesome space. Definitely come and check it out. All right, so happy full moon. May the force be with you. You've got this. If you've never worked with full moon energy before, this is a great one to start with. And what I mean by that is that all you need to do is just get yourself into a quiet space. You can meditate beforehand if you wish. You don't have to, but just carve out some time just for you. I like to do it under the moonlight, preferably. I like to just sit outside. I usually light a candle. I'll take out my journal. I'll see where that full moon is falling for me, and I'll contemplate that area of life. Usually don't even have to do that because it's just happening naturally. Think about all that has come up for you in the last 29 days since the previous new moon, and what is coming up for you repetitively, what you wish to release and let go of for your own growth. And I always like to say, when I do any kind of release ritual around a full moon, in the highest good of all, whatever it is that I'm looking to let go of, for the highest good of all. I am also a big fan of flying wish papers, which you can buy on Amazon. Write down your wishes and you light them and get them out into the universe. We're dealing with an Aries full moon, the element of fire. So it's always great to incorporate the element into your ritual. And then I just like to express gratitude, because it's always easier to focus on what we don't love or what we don't like or what's not happening for us, that we sometimes tend to forget all of the good that there is. And there's always something, right? There's always a silver lining. I always say that. So be sure to pull in some gratitude as well. Be thankful, be grateful. Okay, take really good care of yourselves. If you'd like a private reading, I am booking up pretty fast through the end of the year, so be sure to grab your spot now. Again, lisasalvatore.com. And I'll be back soon. Take really good care of yourselves, guys. Bye.